my thoughts on Amelie. So, this movie is awesome. I had forgotten how wonderful this movie is. Yeah, so the old man and I watched it again last night. It has been a long time since I've seen it. But wow, it's way better than I remembered. I remembered thinking that it was very sweet, and it didn't annoy me like most romantic comedies annoy me. And I think it's because it's not a romantic comedy. It is a comedy with romance, which is a completely different genre. Yeah, so this movie was directed, now I'm going to pronounce this wrong, and I apologize to all of my French speakers, but I never took French. I should learn. It's one language that I would like to learn. Jean-Pierre Jeunet. I hope that's right. Correct me. I apologize. And it stars Audrey Tautou, which is probably the incorrect way to say that as well. But she is awesome. She is delightful. Most American audiences will probably recognize her from the Da Vinci Code that she was in with Tom Hanks and Jean Reno. I love Jean Reno. We are going to do at some point a Jean Reno movie because he is one of my top 5 actors of all time. Any hoodles, tangent. I love her. Like, I really love her, and I need to seek out some more French films so that I can see more of her because she is delightful. Also, the old man has a crush on her, as duh, who wouldn't? Yes, so this movie is very different for me. It is really legitimately funny, as in I actually laughed. I have a problem with a lot of the current comedies. Granted, this was made back in 2001, but that's still relatively fresh for me. Most of the comedies I like are from the late 70s and early 80s. A few from the 90s, but like after that, there aren't a lot. I could probably count them all in one hand. Most modern comedies I just don't care for because the humor is pretty base. And it's not that I have a problem with, a fart joke. They all have their place. It's just that it seems like a lot of more modern comedies rely almost exclusively on that kind of humor. And it's not my favorite kind. I prefer a little more intelligence, maybe. Or my sense of humor is just decidedly less American. I really like British humor. I'm more of I prefer like dry, sardonic humor, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But this movie is genuinely funny. And it's really interesting because a lot of it's kind of like being told a story. You guys know I never give away like endings and plots or whatever, but I usually give you a setup. So the setup of this is we follow Amelie through a little bit at the beginning of her early childhood and then at a period in her 20s of her life. And there is a narrator who tells us all about her and various people, which is probably one of the things I really like. It is more like listening to somebody tell you a story and getting to watch it at the same time. So I think that appeals to me a lot. And I genuinely find the way it is told to be kind of endearing. There is a lot of whimsy. It is absolutely gorgeous. It was all filmed in Paris. I think it was either 60 or 80 different locations. So it's really nice to get to see the city through this director's lens. You can tell that he loves the city. It is very lovingly shot. And we just follow her as she makes the decision. She is an introvert, which it's actually really nice to see. Up to this point, we didn't really get to see a lot of introverts in movies. People are fairly extroverted. So it was nice seeing an introvert and to see what that's like for her. She's very sweet. She likes to take time to enjoy the small pleasures in life, which is a good lesson for everybody, I think. And I hadn't realized that it was probably this movie that made me do that myself, because I do that quite often. And apparently this is where I got it from. But yeah, so we just kind of follow her as she makes the decision that she's going to try to be more helpful to those around her and try to fix their problems. But since she is an introvert, it's not like she just shoves herself in their faces and tells them what to do. She really tries to think of creative ways to go about fixing things. And they are delightful. That's this movie. It's whimsical. It's delightful. I cried a few times. None of them were sad tears. It was that you're so happy, your emotions leak out of your eyeballs kind of thing. That happens to me a lot. There's especially one scene with the blind man. That was the biggest cry for me. Yeah, so it's kind of wonderful. You really get a sense of who all of the characters are in this movie, and you are fond of everybody. Even maybe the characters that aren't your favorite, you still kind of have a weird fondness for them as well, because you feel like you really know them. This movie did an excellent job of character develop. I don't even know if it was really development, but just like little character pictures, so you really knew who they were. It's kind of amazing, because there are a lot of movies I watch that I'm like, I have no idea what would possibly motivate this character to do this or that. And this movie, you don't really have to question a lot of motivations. It all makes sense. So I know some of you will be turned off by the fact that it is French and you have to read subtitles, although I don't mind that, as I've said before. So, you know, to each their own. If you've not seen this movie, please do it. This is a movie when you are feeling sad, down in the dumps, or if you just need like a pick-me-up, a little refreshing bit of your day. Watch this movie. It will make you feel better. It makes me feel better. One of the major problems I usually have with comedies, with romantic comedies, I hate them for the most part. Every now and then there's one that I like, but usually they just make me kind of fidgety, because they all sort of seem to be the same setup. Boy meets girl, they have an attraction to each other, but they hate each other. So then various hijinks ensue. Somebody messes up something, you know they're supposed to be together, but they're being terrible, or something weird is going on, and then it's a lot of this. And then eventually they end up together, happy ending. Yay! Well, I don't mind the setup, and I don't mind the happy ending. God knows I love a happy ending, but all that stuff in the middle just usually makes me feel agitated, and I get up and leave and have to go do things because I just am frustrated, which is not a fun movie-going experience for me. This movie doesn't do that. It doesn't do that. There's none of that. People are behaving badly and messing things up. I never get that frustrated, angry feeling. Yeah, so this is like, yeah, it's awesome. It does have a happy ending. I will spoil that for you. Happy ending for almost everybody. So you can go into it knowing that, which is always good. But yes, generally, this movie is awesome. This movie is excellent. It is probably one of the better movies I have ever watched. Yeah. But I did promise you an aside from my husband, and he was kind enough to agree to let me film him for a little bit last night. So Let's roll that footage. Let's see what the old man has to say for himself.
Hello, husband person.
Oh, hello, dear.
We just watched Amelie, which we of course seen before, but I hadn't seen in a while. Had you seen it in a while?
No, since I watched it with Mom.
Okay. That's been probably 2 years ago.
No, it's been what? About a year now, I guess, a little over.
Yeah. So, I told the girls that Amelie was your favorite movie, which it is, right?
Yeah, it would be. It's better than Forrest.
Yeah, Forrest Gump was previously his favorite movie.
So it's about the same as Day After Tomorrow.
Oh my god. We will have a discussion one day about The Day After Tomorrow. So, any thoughts on Amelie?
No, that's as good as it was when I first saw it.
I think it's better.
Well,
I think that I
considering
have...
what's been put out, yes.
Yes, well, I think that I have grown up more as a person since the first time I saw it. And I think it speaks to me more. But, generally, like I told my lovelies, I tend to be more horror movies than action, and you tend to like the sweeter, nicer, kinder, gentler type movies.
Well, I'm a touchy-feely kind of guy.
Sure, honey.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it would be cool. Can you remember what you told me when I asked you why?
Not. No, it's just, well, it's not a movie, it's a film.
Well, yeah.
So, that's the biggest thing. I don't know, I saw this before the movie she did with Tom.
Oh, the Da Vinci Code
Da
stuff.
Vinci Code,
Yeah.
So I had no idea who she was. And yeah, I thought it was Audrey Hepburn to begin with. But it was quirky, because I had to have been 20 or 30 minutes into it before when I caught it. So I had no idea, really what it was about. But it was funny.
It is.
It was very well filmed.
Mm-hmm. It is very pretty.
Nice colors, yeah. It's just, I don't know. It was just, you couldn't stop watching it. I mean, there's no dead time. It doesn't drag anywhere.
Very true. There is no filler for filler's sake.
No.
Everything has a point.
No, it's just a sweet movie.
Yep. Okay. Well, what you did tell me once was
More memory than me.
you like these sweeter, kinder, gentler movies because there's so much ugliness out there in the world that you would prefer your escapism to not contain it. Or something.
Yeah, I do like happy endings.
Yeah, I like happy ending too.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't explain my love for horror movies, but whatever.
Well, I do believe in the garbage in, garbage out theory, so.
What's the garbage in, garbage out there?
It's exactly. The garbage you take in is the garbage that comes out.
Oh. So
Surround yourself with garbage, you become garbage.
So take in better things so that you can put forth better things.
Enjoy the finer things, the nicer things.
Okay.
The happy stuff.
Well, thank you for guesting on my Thursday Thoughts.
Sure.
Say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
Say goodbye, puppies. Puppy.
So there were the old man's thoughts on Amelie and my own. Do yourself a favor and watch it if you haven't. I mean, it gives me joy. It gives me peace. I don't know. I really need to buy it on Blu-ray so I can watch it more often because it makes me feel better. Alrighty, so next week is our week off, and then it's time for a book read along. And since we have 2 weeks, we're going to do one that's a little more hefty. We're also going to do one that I have not actually read yet. So it's not a reread for me. This will be fresh and new. We're going to do J.K. Rowling's The Casual Vacancy. I bought this as soon as it came out, and then I didn't read it. I just went with the fact that I like J.K. The Harry Potter books were great, and I'm willing to let her try something new. But then I didn't read it. I don't remember what was happening at the time, but then it got shuffled into a stack of books, and I completely forgot about it. Whoops, text. Because that is how terrible I am. However, we're going to give it a go because I haven't read it yet. Maybe you already have. I don't know if it's any good. I'm going to assume it must not suck because she's a good writer. So we're going to read The Casual Vacancy, And I will see you back in 2 weeks to talk about that. Yay. Okay. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you guys. Bye.